can Soloviev bring to this group?
The one thing that's been a weakness of ours this year is the penalty kill, and Solo is a guy that is killing a lot for the Wranglers. He's fearless in regards to blocking shots. Like, he eats a lot of pucks, and then I think it's just the left-handed shooter that he is, but also the size and strength that he can play the game with. So we'll see how we go tomorrow and make a decision here later today, early tomorrow.
Brian, why now to call up a guy?
Why not? I mean, last night. I don't think our back end was great. I mean, I think they've done a good job of trying to pick up the slack in Kevin's absence. But I do think we miss a player that's like Solo. So there is a time and a place where they need an opportunity to see if they're able to take that next step. So, as I said, I think now is a good time.
What is his next step?
He has to find a way to be able to play the game consistently at this level. So you can be a really good defender at the American League level, but you have to adjust to the pace here. So can you do that, and can you move the puck out of your zone, first pass, all that type of stuff when you're under pressure at the NHL level?
He was just here talking about how his game needs to be simple and, his net, and then a little bit forward from that. Is that his recipe?
Yeah, and big body defenseman needs to be hard to play against, right? And that's not necessarily meaning he's going to finish hits like Pahal does, but we do need him to keep people away from the front of our net, because that's part of who he is. He's a bigger, stronger man, moves well, and as I said, we have openings for penalty killers on the back end. We need people to step up and grab hold of that role, so there may be an opportunity for him in those situations.
I know you have a break coming up right away, but coming out of it eventually, how crucial is it to how this team wants to play that your fourth line can be trusted for more than 6 or 7 minutes?
Very much so. I mean, hey, we've I've talked a little bit about it lately, that when that line is on, I think they bring a lot of energy to our team, and more of the night is played in the offensive zone for them, forward checking and pressuring defensemen. Over the last little bit, it's been the other way around, where they've spent most of their time defending. So the challenge for them is to get together as a line and make sure they have a real good understanding of how they have to play for us, because as you mentioned, the reality of running like Hubie and Cad's 22 minutes a night for us, I don't think is a long-term solution. So there's situations where they do need to pick up some of the slack.
I know he hasn't killed a lot in his past. Do you see potential for Morgan Frost to be able to get on your penalty kill?
Potentially. I mean, right now we look more at Farabee to be a guy that we can use in that area. Morgan right now is a guy that we look to really incorporate heavily into our power play side of things. But I think as we get to know him a little bit more, and there's always potential. Like, he can win some faceoffs, which is important for us. And I do feel like he has good defensive instincts, right? I think you have to have that coming from John, and he has that. So it's something that we will entertain. But right now we see Farabee a little bit more in that role, and Frost more in the power play role.
You've talked about not wanting to overload those guys, as you get them integrated. If you went in computer terms, what percent is downloaded there now? What percent have you got them up to date on?
Well, I think they have an idea on everything, but like meetings that we have this morning, some of the language that we use, some of the reinforcement clips that we use, that's where they're going to learn a lot, and I think they're really going to understand what we're going to get across. The first couple of days when they're here, they're getting a crash course in everything us. Now it's about really paying attention and trying to understand the little details of what we try to do. And if they have questions at that time, it's a great opportunity for us to create that dialogue.
What strikes you about the sort of student side of them?
Both, I feel like, are intelligent players. I haven't noticed anything where they're like, I don't know if this guy gets this or not. I think they're very smart players, and I think they pick things up quickly.
You talked a lot about the weak side faceoffs and stuff like that, especially on the penalty kill with Michael taking so many of them. Can you maybe detail the challenges of Michael always being on the weak side to start off a penalty kill on a faceoff?
Well, most teams, when you look around the league, most teams have left-handed centermen. and that's usually the strong side. So when you stick our guy on that side, he's going the opposite direction of where he normally would want to go with that face-off. So he's at a slight disadvantage to start with. So that's one thing. Because the way his body has to turn sometimes too, it makes it harder for him to get out to pressure off of a lost draw. There's all sorts of things like that. But at the end of the day, you have to find a way to be tighter, better. I think that's the biggest message that you leave your centerman, is that just the draws can't be lost clean, and you have to find a way to create a little bit of a stall or a scrum around the feet where you can rely on your partners or your teammates to come in and help you out in those situations. But it is what it is. There's other teams around the league that have all left-handed centers. We saw a team last night that did as well. So we have to find a way to get better in that area.
Coach, a couple of penalties last night that maybe aren't a coach's favorite. Obviously, Braden's is easy to correct. It's an interference penalty. When it comes to Lomberg's penalty, on a clean hit, policing that, where do you sit as a coach? What's your opinion on the clean hit and the reactions afterwards?
Yeah, I think part of our team's identity, there has to be that reaction from our players. Now, you can argue whether or not their player left his feet to deliver that hit, and it could have been 2 minutes each. But as you alluded to, the first two penalties were the trip and the interference. Those are the ones we got scored on. We did not get scored on the Ryan Lomberg penalty. So it's typically the way it works, where the lazy ones are things that you can do something about. Those are the ones you don't kill off. When you're standing up for a teammate or it's a physical type penalty, oftentimes your teammates will rally around you and find a way to get the job done.